Johnny here from Johnny's Car Care and Advice. So welcome to the Mustang garage that might turn into a Bronco garage. We'll see about that. Today what I want to talk about are tires for the 2021 Ford Bronco, which might turn into a 2022 Bronco if you don't get to a dealer really soon. But to help you get to a dealer with your final choice sooner as opposed to later to increase your chances of getting the vehicle this year, and that'll depend on your dealer's remaining allotments or allocations. Every dealer is being promised a certain amount of Broncos to be built for their dealer so that that dealer can sell. And if your dealer has some left, well, with or without a reservation, you should be able to, snatch one of those up. So get right to it, but before getting to it, if you're like me, you're having trouble picking the right Bronco. Now I've pretty much finalized my choice. I just have to figure out if I'm willing to give up my 2018 Mustang 5-liter, as well as my 2011 Ecoboost F-150, the 3.5-liter Ecoboost. I love my two vehicles. They're both blue. They match. It's great. I'm really happy. But gosh, that Bronco's really nice. Fantastic styling. The roof comes off for fun and sun. But if you try to build a Bronco that can both be good for fun and sun and going off-roading, and you order it that way, it's going to cost a lot. Your options are to take a base model and throw the Sasquatch package on, and then you're getting an awesome off-road vehicle. You're getting, I believe, give or take, 11.4 inches of ground clearance. That's fantastic. You're going to get a 95:1 crawl gear ratio, which is amazing. It's better than Jeep's 84:1 on the Rubicon, on the Jeep Rubicon. You're also, you have the potential to either get standard, the 2.3-liter Ecoboost engine, which in my opinion, you look at the horsepower and torque numbers, and I'd say that it's pretty easy to argue that it's more impressive than the base 6-cylinder from Jeep. Whether we argue about that or not important, because there is a 2.7-liter Ecoboost engine. For me, that's the important option to get. Whether you're off-roading or you just want something with a ton of power when you step down on the pedal. I'm all about smiles per gallon, way more than I am about, fuel consumption and trying to save a whole whopping $150 to $200 per year in fuel because I took the bigger, more powerful engine. So I want the bigger, more powerful engine. I want a 2.7-liter, but I don't want to have to buy a Wildtrak, so I can do both my fun and sun and go into the woods and have a little fun and come out with a bit of wood so I can heat the house in the winter. Now, here's my trick. My advice for today from the Mustang garage is to do what I did for my F-150. Get BF Goodrich KO2 tires. And get them oversized and put them on whatever Bronco model works for you. You can also throw on a lift kit if you want to get that extra clearance, because remember, if you get a base model, your ground clearance is only going to be 8.4 inches. And the Sasquatch model brings you up to 11.6 inches on the two-door Bronco. But that can be resolved with a lift kit, saving you thousands of dollars, because the lift kit, I'm going to go into a little more detail at the end, it's not going to cost that much. And if you get BF Goodrich KO2 tires and they're a little oversized, you're going to have that look. You can get 33s or 34s or 35s, and your lift kit is going to give you the space for those tires no matter what model you go for. And you know what? I haven't been considering the base model all that much. But even on the base model, you can throw on heated seats, and that's the reason why I haven't been considering some of the models below the Outer Banks model. It's because it didn't have heated seats, and I've got these winters to deal with. And of course, the wifey, she likes to be warm, so it's one of her criterias. Now, if we look at snow performance of the BF Goodrich KO2, you can have this tire in the snow. It's going to help you, nonetheless accelerate when you put the pedal down. I've taken it into the woods. It's pretty decent. It's okay on the mud. It's not the best mud tire, and I'm going to get into that after these videos. But here's the truck driving in two-wheel drive. And on a side note, I believe the Bronco, even as a two-door, with its short distance between the two wheels, I don't think it's going to be a spin-out king, as can often be the case with any vehicle that has a short wheelbase. And that's because of Ford's intelligent rear-wheel drive, or the intelligence behind their four-wheel drive system, where the torque's being sent at different percentages to different wheels to keep the vehicle in a straight line and to keep it accelerating. And being that the BF Goodrich is not the most aggressive mud tire, it's not a 100% mud tire, my fuel economy is decent. Now, it is a knobbier tire. Fuel economy did change somewhat, but here's my fuel economy in the dead of winter. And when I had just put these tires on, I noticed a very small difference, about not even a 1 mile per gallon. So they really aren't bad. It's, gonna help you do off-roading. It's a good tire, and it's the right tire, and it's the solution to not getting into buying a Badlands or a Wildtrak. Now, don't get me wrong, the Badlands and Wildtrak are amazing because of the stabilizer disconnect. As you see right here, stabilizer disconnect is, a game changer. It's incredible. But if you just can't afford or don't want to put the budget towards the Badlands or the Wildtrak, I do suggest that the base model can make a great Bronco. If you need the heated seats, throw them on. It's about $300 per seat bought and installed. You throw on your bigger BF Goodrich KO2 tires, you get them oversized, you throw a lift on the truck, you're going to gain your ground clearance, you're going to gain the space you need to put oversized tires on the base model, which will resolve the base model's low ground clearance issue and just overall look. And it does not come with the right tire to do some off-roading. But keep in mind, when we're talking about off-roading, there's different types of off-roading. And if we're talking about slow rock climbing, if you're going to be going very slow and you need a ton of power and traction at low speeds, well, this is where things get complicated. If you get an automatic transmission, your first gear is going to be the crawl gear ratio, you could say, or the granny gear of the first gear is going to be much less good for low speed off-roading than if you get the manual with its dedicated crawl gear and the electromechanical transfer case, which is how you get the 94.75 to 1 overall crawl ratio. If you go automatic, you're going to be looking more, I had the stats earlier, is about 57 to 1 or about 65 to 1, depending whether you get that electromechanical transfer case. So, it's not an easy choice, but definitely if you're looking for a budget build on your order, throw on the right tires, throw on the lift kit, add heated seats if need be, and that base Bronco. Or you can always get the Black Diamond, because it is already set up a little bit more for off-road. They're great options without having to spend the thousands of dollars of the Sasquatch package. But if you're worried about the fender flares not covering the added tires that you throw onto the base model, which of course comes with pretty small tires, you don't have to worry, because the fender flares on the Bronco unclip. And I'm sure there'll be aftermarket fender flares you can throw on. This is going to be almost guaranteed, and you'll be able to throw on much bigger fender flares, whether they're painted or not painted. You'll be able to get bigger fender flares for those oversized BF Goodrich tires. Now, why do I pick the BF Goodrich KO2 tires? Well, I'm going to explain all that in just a moment. I love these tires. They're not the best tires in the mud. And when I'm out getting my wood, if I'm doing it in spring, I'm pretty much guaranteed to have a lot of mud, and there are better mud tires out there. Better mud tires means bigger tread, with more spacing in between that tread. So basically, the tread is very spread out to be able to take in and, grab out a lot of mud, because basically the tire stops being efficient in the mud once all the tread's filled up. So, you don't want to be using old tires. That's why I took these off right here. The tread was starting to get really low, about 532s to 632s. And, they weren't able to take up much mud anymore. And I also wanted a tire that I could drive in the snow. And the BF Goodrich KO2s they're LTs. So you've got a really strong sidewall that's, much less likely to be pierced than a standard truck tire. And also less likely to get punctured from your tread area. So it's got thicker sidewall, it's a thicker tire, it weighs more, it's going to cost you a little bit on the fuel economy, but you're not going to blow out a tire in the middle of the woods. So, or on the side of a mountain, which is where I'm getting my wood. So really important to me that I can drive it both in the winter. And speaking of winter, the KO2s from the BF Goodrich are fantastic in the snow. A little less good on the ice. A real winter tire would definitely be considerably better on ice, but the tire does the job on ice. And honestly, I'm dealing with maybe 4 icy days out of an entire winter, and for those 4 days, I just need to remember to drive a little more cautiously. Drive a little slower, brake more in advance. It's not the greatest ice tire, but it's a fantastic snow tire. It's a good mud tire, not the best, but what I've experienced from, seeing other people's trucks, if you get a really high-end mud tire, in almost every situation, they're going to be loud on the highway. They're going to use unevenly. So uneven wear is going to make it that you need to change your tires more often. And, here's another great point for the BF Goodrich KO2s. They last a really long time. The durability on these tires is fantastic. Really good in the snow, like I mentioned. And they're not making noise on the highway. Every other mud tire that I've seen installed on trucks are noisy. And, they're not always noisy at first. Usually they're noisy after, give or take, 3,000 to 7,000 miles. They wear unevenly, and that's when they get noisy. Some are noisy as soon as you slap them on. You really have to crank up the radio. You can barely hear yourself talk when you're speaking in the vehicle to someone. You can barely, you almost have to yell in the vehicle. And the KO2s are almost completely silent on the highway, the way a normal tire would be. But you can take it in the woods, you can take it out on the snow. So for your Bronco, to avoid everyone, ordering up a Wildtrak, here's an idea. Or, ordering the Sasquatch package, which costs a good amount of money. Find out what equipment you want. If you want LED lights with a really good look, by the way, thank you for the comment, the person that left it in the comment section. All Broncos come with LED lights, which is great because on an F-150, you're getting it on an XLT 302 and up. And, for 2021, beforehand in 2020 and earlier, you only got the LED lights on a Lariat 502. So you really had to dish out a lot of money. Thank you, Ford, for throwing LED lights on all Broncos, because this isn't just about look, it's about performance and safety. And LED lights work great. You're really going to see everything at night. You're going to see everything when you're off-roading. And speaking about when you're off-roading, if you are going to off-road at night with your Bronco, order the auxiliary switches. Auxiliary switches are going to save you a lot of time and money when you do install a light bar. Because if you want a light bar on your Bronco and you don't have the auxiliary switches, you're looking probably at 4 to 5 hours of installation of wiring. Whereas if you have the auxiliary switches, it's great. It's almost going to be plug and play, and then you'll have, the switch on the ceiling to turn that LED light on. But back to tires. You can throw on BF Goodrich KO2s, which are great off-roading, will help you handle snow, pretty, good enough in the mud, but a great durable tire that goes great on the highway, is, very good in regards to fuel economy, because the more aggressive your tire is for the mud, the worse it is on fuel economy, because your tread gets bigger, the spacing is more spread apart, you have less contact, so you're gonna, on the highway, braking and fuel consumption won't be as good, durability won't be as good, wear won't be as good either. So you're getting a great tire out of BF Goodrich KO2s, and you can slap it on any model. And I really do expect the Bronco, like an F-150, to be capable of throwing on, spacers on the suspension to get the vehicle up higher, so you can take a bigger, larger, more aggressive tire, the way you get with a Sasquatch package, a Badlands with its 33s, or the Wildtrak, which we're saying, the Wildtrak and the Sasquatch come with 35-inch tires. They're actually 34.4 from what I could see by putting it into a tire calculator based on the dimensions given from the Ford spec sheet, unless, of course, they change the dimensions. We're looking at 34.4. Well, why not get the Bronco that suits you in regards to equipment, and then if you want, throw on BF Goodrich KO2 tires, and if you want, a really aggressive look, and you want, for a more aggressive look, you need bigger, wider tires. Well, if it won't fit, don't worry. We should be able to just lift up that Bronco without much issues. Now, of course, getting a real full-out off-road suspension is, a great but costly option. So I'm hoping that, like the F-150, we'll be able to throw on just some pucks, cost somewhere around, labor and parts, $500. You do it yourself, maybe $300. So not that much. And then you can get a really oversized tire and have that oversized off-road overland look and utility, of course. So I hope this has been helpful. If it has, please like and subscribe. If you have comments, a lot of the comments that are being left are extremely helpful, I think, to all of us that are shopping Bronco. So if you have comments that are useful, please, it's been giving me ideas for videos, and it's been helping us all get the right Bronco build. So stay tuned, and there'll be further videos from the Mustang Garage. And let's see if it turns into a Bronco Garage anytime soon.